So happy to be here. My name is Daniel Prok, and I just want to say welcome to Heaven on Earth. It's in every moment. And I want to say several things to really reinforce them with you. It's stuff that I practice, such as every breath you take and every move you make, everywhere you go and everything you do. All of it is love, is light, is beauty and glory. And all of it is health and wealth and wisdom and freedom. It's always been heaven on earth. But I learned from influences in the world to not see it, to be angry, to get upset, to think I'm different or I'm in this group and other people are in this group. And these separations really dissolved for me over the last 2 years. I've been working on myself for maybe 10, 15 years, but the last 2 years have just been amazing. But I want to share some ideas with you, help reinforce some divine truths so that you live. You might already be in it. You might already wake up every morning and say, oh, heaven on earth again, it's beautiful. And you might be expanding in it. You might kind of be in it or want to be in it. And you can be in it. Because at the core of our being, in our divinity, it's so beautiful. There's pure wellness. Pure wellness. So reconditioning ourselves to live in that is really what I'm about helping people do. So again, my name is Daniel Prok. Thank you all for being here. Let's start with a quick little meditation. Just relax. You can close your eyes. This will probably just take a minute or so. But just relax. Take a nice deep breath into your heart. Take another one. Gentle deep breath into your soul even. Deep within you. Just take a nice relaxing breath. And even say to yourself, just relax. Let your face relax, let your skin relax, just relax. And you feel that peace. And you feel that love. And you can even breathe in again and feel more love. And you could breathe in again and say, joy. And you might notice your posture broadening, your heart opening. And it feels so good. And that's the peace and the love and the well-being that's always inside of you. That's heaven, which is inside of you, and heaven, which is what you are. Now go ahead and open your eyes. Now, the interesting thing is, back in 2020, with all the stuff going on in the world, I was doing a meditation, and I felt myself opening up, and I stayed in it for about 10 minutes with my eyes closed. And I happened to open my eyes because I was at home, and I opened my eyes, and I was so like, it felt so good with my eyes closed. And I opened my eyes and started processing life and thinking. And I felt like my heart was open, but I felt it start closing, like go back to the autopilot posture in my body. And I was like, no, I gotta stay in this feeling. So I actually got myself up, kept breathing, sat down. There was a song playing that I had on YouTube because I was doing this planned meditation. This old song by Chicago, You're the Inspiration. It's some beautiful, like, majestic love song from way back when. So I'm singing that out loud, like I gotta stay in this feeling, stay in love. I was singing I love yous to myself, to the world, to everything, with my eyes open, because I was like, if I can be there with my eyes closed, what happens when I start thinking? Where did it go? It's still there. When the news shows someone a story about a disturbance and our mind goes, I don't agree with that, and gets mad, but where did the peace and love go? It's still within us. So reconditioning ourselves from the core of our divinity, from deep within our core, from our divine blueprint, from our God self, our Christed self, our blessed self, higher aspects of ourself, and then being in that energy which is truth and reconditioning the body, the mind, our emotions to live from that. And over the last few years, I've gotten more and more into what I've been believing for about 10 years. I've been believing in heaven on earth. Oh, and one thing I want you all to just even say in your mind, we all want the same thing. You think of unity and oneness, within that unity and oneness, which is we are all a collective, we all want the same thing. And I'm going to go over these things that we all want and go over the facts that we are actually, or is that we actually are these things. We are these divine truths. So, it's taken, life goes on and you kind of process things in different ways. So, and how are you feeling right now? Just checking in, because you probably feel good, but do you still feel that love and peace that you had with your eyes closed? Or are you thinking a little more, and you maybe drift off and you're like, I was feeling great with my eyes closed, but now not quite as much. To calibrate ourselves so with our eyes open, no matter what happens out in the world, no matter who we talk to, no matter what the conversation is, to stay in love, stay in peace, stay in wellness and well-being. And this leads to some, I call them divine truths. And these are the things that we all want. So you can all raise your hands when I ask these questions. Would you rather have a day where you experience love, joy, peace, and happiness, or fear, doubt, and worry? Who's up for love? Do we have any other beings in here? No, I don't think so. What about health? Would you like health or lack of health? Who wants health? And then we got wealth. Physical world around you is wealth. Would you like wealth or lack of wealth? Who wants wealth? And look around the room, actually, while I'm saying this. Look around the room and notice, because these people are all part of our collective of heaven on earth. We all want the same things. And then what about wisdom? Would we want wisdom and divine ideas and the right guidance, or would we want ignorance and, who knows, lack of wisdom? Who wants wisdom? And then freedom. Would you like freedom or lack of that? Restrictions, the world, let's just say it. I want to use my words accurately. There's old patterns in the world that I believe a lot of us are aware of now. And these old systems that are drifting away, they're dissolving. There might be things that pop up in your reality that seem like they're still active. Let them go. Don't let them disturb the peace and love that's always inside of you. Anchor yourself so much in the divine truths of love. If you can remember 5 words and live by 5 words, your life will be amazing. Because love is emotionally high vibe. Love, joy, peace, and happiness. It's in every moment. So that would be emotionally wonderful. Health would be our body is energized, active, healthy. Body and mind, it's all connected, but imagine emotionally, love. Body, health. Wealth would be the physical world around us. Abundance, luxury, opulence, in whatever way is right for you. There's infinite supply right here on planet Earth. Have you ever thought of that? They're not carting in supplies from some other planet to make these houses and build these buildings and have these forms of abundance. It's not coming from anywhere but from our ideas and from the resources on planet Earth. And then wisdom. Living with a great mind that is decluttered, that has gotten rid of issues. A mind that has forgiven or asked for forgiveness to just take the issue and I don't want that clog in the pipes anymore. I'm not going to have that issue with my teacher, a parent, or whatever, clog the pipes and block the wisdom that's always trying to flow. God's always flowing in our life, like a flood of abundance. So wisdom would be in the flow, and but clearing those blockages, and then freedom. Freedom is our God-given birthright. Freedom is the expression of our soul. And to live in freedom, these divine truths, it's more than what we want. It's what we actually are. You are love, which means emotionally, but it's more. And we can program ourselves to be loving in all aspects of our mind, our mental body. So we have perspectives and perceptions of love in every moment. We have thought processes that are loving. We have our belief system, subconscious programming. All of it is love. All aspects of our life and the physical world, every part of creation, love, health, wealth, wisdom, freedom. And I'll add some other ones because they're magnificent and beautiful. One of the best things that happened to me was back in 2020. I went to Sedona, thought I'd be there 2 weeks, stayed there 6 months, and it was more like freedom there with whatever's going on in the world back here where I live. And about 5 months, I stayed there 6 months, and about 5 months into it, I started getting books dropping into my mind. And I've been believing in heaven on earth for about 10 years, but it's like a concept like heaven on earth, people think, okay, what does that really mean? It means love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom. And you can also add light, because you are the light of the world. You can add beauty and glory, because God only makes beautiful and glorious things. And that's a fact. I like to say that's a fact, Jack and Jacqueline. Yes, that's a fact. God only makes beautiful and glorious things. Any of our perceptions that would have us believe that we weren't beautiful, magnificent, perfect, and a masterpiece is just a negatively skewed perception that we probably learned from someone or some influence in the world. Could have been family, could have been a teacher, could have been something in society. Some things, we learn those limiting patterns, those discordant patterns. We might learn them from people who just happen to learn them from people that they grew up with. And they learn them from people. But then in the old paradigm too, there were, and maybe you could say they're still there, but they're dissolving, influences that strategically condition us to think that we're not good enough, that we're less than, that there's not enough resources, that this country has an argument with your country. It's just absurd, but I was lost in those patterns before a couple years ago. It's like America versus China, America versus Iraq, America. We all want the same things. That's some government, political, make-believe nonsense to me. It really is nonsense. Manipulated nonsense, but we can be knocked into fear by the unknown, by different factors. But when we realize and stay in our divinity, and when you look around the room again, and when you look outside as you go through life, and you can see people more than just with your human eyes, you can see them with your divine eyes. And just walking through past people and just be like, that person wants the same thing as I do. Love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom. And that person, and that person. So there's, I say 5 words. If you can remember those 5, you're good. And build your life around those 5. As an individual, as a family, as a community, as a nation and civilization. And actually, one thing to know is you're not small in a world that's big. You are massive in a world that resides within your consciousness. And that is also part of the kingdom of heaven on earth. And I say that with more like majesty and power, and maybe not get caught up in the word kingdom, because I had one young lady, she's like, I don't like the word kingdom. Could be, you could say it differently, but it's basically, it's all within your consciousness. These nations and civilizations and governments fall within your consciousness. There's an expanded version of you, which is so big, and it's like if I was holding the earth right here, and you all were looking down on it, looking at the earth, and you're like, that whole earth is heaven on earth. The nations and civilizations in planet Earth are gonna go with my belief system and our belief system, and they all fall within the kingdom of heaven on earth. They are all part of heaven on earth. And you are heaven on earth. So there's an expanded version of yourself that I encourage you to walk around with strength, with power, with a knowing that these beliefs, believing in something beautiful is a magnificent thing. Believing in something that is way better than what you might see with your eyes or even experience in a conversation or see propagated in the news. To believe in something beautiful and magnificent and fantastic, even in the midst of something that your human eyesight might have defined as drama, trauma, chaos, but you're like, nope, it's heaven on earth. I'm staying in a high vibe, and I'm transmuting all that I used to perceive as being not heaven on earth. We're transmuting all of it into the most beautiful moment and most beautiful experience that we could ever have. And it happens in every moment. So within those divine truths, and I'll add a few more, which is love, experiencing love, because you are love. Experiencing light, because you are the light of the world. You are beauty and glory, made manifest in human form in every moment, as God only makes beautiful and glorious things. And make sure you see yourself that way too. Even when you look in the mirror, say, I am God's glory, seeing God's glory. Because that's the truth. And love yourself so much. And love everything so much over time. About 10 years ago, I didn't even love myself. So I was like, is that wrong to love myself? So I've definitely expanded from some of those lack-based programs that I received. And then we've got health. Health is your natural and original state of being. Wealth is a permanent construct in creation. There's no lack of any type unless our minds believe in lack, then our belief will work perfectly and create a lack. And then there's also wisdom. Wisdom is God's divine ideas and knowledge and flowing through us constantly. And then freedom. Freedom, again, is our God-given birthright. It's the true expression of our soul. So living in those divine truths, those 8, and then just 9 encompasses all of that, which is we are heaven on earth. There's a we are consciousness. And I use a lot of affirmations. I love affirmations. I actually wrote some books back in 2020. They started dropping in my mind, and they've become a series called The Books of Heaven on Earth. So the Book of Love was the first book, and then the Book of Light came through, and then the Book of Heaven, and then the Book of Life. And these books have so many affirmations in them, they're just awesome. And then there's the Declaration of Heaven on Earth. And then the Great Awakening was actually the first book before these books, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I've been given a gift, which has helped me so much. And also a gift that other people can be blessed with. And I've wondered, I'm like, why doesn't God, Jesus, angels, why don't they just drop the knowledge into everyone on earth simultaneously and get this whole thing done, you know? And there's something that I'm like, God, just get it all done. Just heaven on earth for everybody. Boom. You know what you're doing, so let's do it. But there's a beauty in someone getting a message that can bless and empower someone else. Words, I've never said words like this before. 5 years ago, I'd just be probably talking my own version of slang and English, but not talking about divine truths and all these things. But yeah, living from these divine truths and this declaration of heaven on earth. So the way that this happened, we got a few more minutes. I was in Sedona, and I've been believing in heaven on earth for a long time. And you might ask yourself, well, how many people does it take to transform a whole collective? Do you need to have everyone on earth believe in heaven on earth for the world to change? Do we need everyone on earth to believe in peace and love for it to become peace and love for everybody? No. It takes a relatively small group of people. There's something called the Maharishi effect. You could Google that. But basically, within a population, if you have a small group of that population resonating in a certain way, they energetically can transform the whole. And something in me is like, okay, the Maharishi effect, how many people did it take to start the United States of America? It took 56 people signed a Declaration of Independence. What were they experiencing? Tyrannical rule, taxes, oppression. Some group out there like, why are they part of our life? We're doing our own thing. Freedom, freedom, freedom. The premise originally was magnificent, and it's become something a little different. And nevertheless, it all falls within our kingdom of heaven on earth, so we're transforming the whole thing anyway. But 56 people signed a document and transformed a collective of about 12.5 million in the colonies at that time. And there were more than the 56, but there's power in people believing in something beautiful. And that's where and then the civil rights movements in the 60s, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, many, many other leaders. Probably a lot of America was like, what's up with this? But they were like, we believe in better. We believe in more. We believe that we're equal. We believe in freedom. This is not acceptable. So they took their energy and their belief in something beautiful, which was probably in the midst of experiencing lack and restrictions and a bunch of crap. And they said, we're believing in better, so we can do the same thing. And I figured this out with that Maharishi effect. There's this equation that you can look at. If you had 8 billion people on the earth, for instance, it's a square root of 1% of that population. So if 8,945 people believed in something beautiful, like what's written in here, which in brief summary, it's living a life with those 5 words: love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom. And remember what I was saying? We all want the same thing. Every human being, I think every human being, some might be cloaked or something, I don't know, but all the good ones, we all want the same thing. We want to have love and joy and good times with people that we love. We want health and to have energy so our body's good. We want wealth and that physical world around us to be magnificent, plenty, abundance. And wisdom and freedom, we all want the same things. So when you can look at and experience life from that standpoint and know that energetically, it's not said with words. It's not said with statistics. It would be cool to measure this stuff though. Statistics can skew people and trick people. This is more just an energetic thing, and it's from the invisible, it's from our knowing, it's from the core of our soul, it's from our heart. And we live from that, and you can walk through the world and know that everyone in this room, we're connected. And we're connected, and we all want the same things. We actually are those things. So let's create heaven on earth for the collective, energetically together. And even when you're by yourself, you can think of the time that you might see me, you're like, I saw this dude, he talked about this, I'm still connected to him. Because he's believing, I'm believing, my family's believing. And don't think for a second that it's not possible, because everything's possible. We can live in the higher vibrations of creation and the higher vibrations of this reality and have it keep expanding, so that you end up experiencing life where truly every breath you take and every move you make and everywhere you go and everything you do is love, is light, is beauty and glory, and is health and wealth and wisdom and freedom. It's heaven on earth. And it always has been and always will be. And it's so great to be here to just bless you with things that I've come to know and learn, I think, from going deeper within me to know the truth, and then expanding more and more into that. So I just want to finish with just saying a few things together to fortify everything that we talked about. This will be fun and simple. So just repeat after me. I want love.
I want love.
I want health.
I want health.
I want wealth.
I want wealth.
I want wisdom.
I want wisdom.
And I want freedom.
And I want freedom.
And let's go into more of the true knowing, which is I am love.
I am love.
I am health.
I am health.
I am wealth.
I am wealth.
I am wisdom.
I am wisdom.
And I am freedom.
And I am freedom.
And then there's the newest thing that I've become aware of, which is the we are consciousness, even beyond the I am, which is God within me consciousness. And even though the I am consciousness would be in me and everywhere, there's a we are consciousness, which is actually talked about in the next book that I am almost done with, called The Constitution of the Kingdom of Heaven on Earth, that talks about the we are consciousness, because we truly are all together. So let's just finish this with these. We are love.
We are love.
I'll add a few other ones. We are light.
We are light.
We are beauty.
We are beauty.
We are glory.
We are glory.
We are health.
We are health.
We are wealth.
We are wealth.
We are wisdom.
We are wisdom.
We are freedom.
We are freedom.
And we are heaven.
And we are heaven.
Right here on earth, right here and now, and always has been, always will be. And we truly are in this together, and we just vibrated this whole planet into something new and glorious and beautiful. And I encourage you after this to come ask me questions and talk. I'm selling books, I'll be in there, but also even take a look at nature and calibrate yourself to see wow, it's so from the state of being of I am heaven, seeing heaven, touching and tasting and smelling and hearing heaven and love and light and beauty and glory, and to use your physical senses to operate the way they always were supposed to, so that in everything that you experience, your perceptions and your perspectives of our heaven on earth. It's beautiful. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I pray for God's glorious blessings on your life and all your most beautiful dreams and visualizations and manifestations to just keep expanding and improving into more and more of God's glory. You are God's glory in every moment. So just, you got me on a roll. I'm out of time, but once I get going and the vibe's good, I'm just like, I could just keep saying some cool stuff. But God bless all of you. You can find on my YouTube channel, just look up Daniel Prok, and you can find me there. And the books are the best thing that I can do to help you transform your life in a beautiful, glorious way. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, the next speaker coming in, amazing. Dr. Ez, I met him about maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He did a beautiful talk, and he mentioned heaven on earth. I was like, this dude's on the vibe, and his knowledge and of health and well-being that he can teach and help you with is beyond most people, beyond anyone that I've met in person, to be honest with you. So he's coming up next to talk. He's a heaven on earther.
And Daniel is right on also. He's really right on. Very clearly, just a very positive individual. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Good job.